That alone, meditating on the awareness of awareness. Verse number 42. This is knowledge. In that what comes first, this is sameness. Its qualifying predicate is awareness. For intellect and all such to vanish, and for the true path to come, this should be meditated on. Commentary. The most elemental form of ideation is the presentation of a subject and the predication of that subject. When a subject is first presented, we say, "What is this?" We answer by making a judgment. Even when there is no apparent question, one is implied in the indicative term this. This is so and so. This is someone else. This is knowledge. This is non-knowledge. Whether the subject is concrete or not, true or not, the indicative is there, and it is a symbol for the question the mind has raised. Next, the question is followed by a judgment, which is the predication of the subject. When you say, "This is so and so is the predicate. In this is knowledge, knowledge is predicating the subject, this." In an earlier verse, Narayana Guru described this as Vishama, the part of knowledge that is difficult to discern. If one person is sitting in a room and someone else is standing outside asking, "Do you see this?" the one inside will have to ask, "What this?" He won't have any real interest until he knows what this refers to. So just hearing this is not enough. You have to explain what the this is. In fact, the entire process of our mind is to be all the time explaining this. We have no other business. We just go on interpreting every this. There is another aspect of our consciousness which comes to a decision. This is such and such. The part making the decision is called the intellect. In Malayalam, it is mati. In Sanskrit grammar, we have nirdeshika, pratigrahika, and sambandhika. Nirdeshika is that which integrates. Pratigrahika is that which you grasp or learn or understand. And sambandhika is that which relates one thing to another. Corresponding to these three in Vedanta are three categories of mind: the questioning aspect, manas, the recalling aspect, chittam, and the deciding aspect, buddhi. In logic, these are called the subject, the copula, and the predicate. The subject is interrogative or suggestive, the copula is relative, and the predicate is the decisive. So these three functions are universally recognized to be going on all the time. Then there is an agent behind them, and in whom all these take place, recognized as the I. Now, just what kind of decision is the intellect making? It is deciding what name should be given to what form. It is coordinating a name and a form, a mental image and a corresponding word symbol. When you say, "This is a pot," there is an image of a pot, which is a concept. Pot is a sound which revives an image from your consciousness. The image is then conjoined with the sound. The intellect is finalizing out of a series of concepts, one which is most appropriate for each situation. This is then underlined and promoted as the concept. This does not take place in a passive mind with no interest. Every concept is marked with a certain coloration indicating a value. These values are very dear to the individuate itself. Here is a piece of paper. It is not just a piece of paper, it is $1. When you say it is $1, it evokes more interest than a nondescript piece of paper. With each sound, each word, each evoked form, a certain value also comes to the mind. And when that value comes to the mind, you react to it. Our reaction can range from a high degree of infatuation to extreme indifference. Just hearing a certain sound or seeing an image can evoke a whole variety of interests throughout this range. There is an old saying that a percept without a concept is hollow, and a concept without a percept is substanceless. A concept is either a processed percept, or it is what is mentally perceived. Regardless of whether it is mentally or physically perceived, it becomes a unit of value. That unit of value cuts itself off from other values and the rest of our knowledge. Consciousness is chopped into many fragments by our deciding upon the value of things, items of interest, upon whatever is presented. Through this process, every item of knowledge decided upon by the intellect vivifies the world, vivifies consciousness. Where does all this come from? Out of the one knowledge. From this one overall knowledge, we modulate one little piece and then label it and put it aside as a separate entity. We already belong to a world of unity of consciousness, of universal awareness, which has no specificity at all. Then, when indicativeness tickles the mind, one definite piece is carved and forged out of consciousness, and it does not stop there. Every indicative knowledge points you to a certain possibility for gratification. When awareness becomes specialized, a special interest in you finds an opportunity for fulfillment. Groups of these special interests get related to each other. Someone might say to you, "There is a new film out at the Bijou Theatre." Then you wonder, what time will it start? Is it tonight? How will I get there? And who will go with me? A whole chain of reactions comes, at the end of which you decide whether or not to go to the film. Thus, the specifying of knowledge leads you to action, and each action itself leads to other actions. The whole network of daily life is woven by a series of one this after another, along with their meanings. It is all done by the intellect, correlated to the person's ego, ahankara. Narayana Guru says, "Idam arivu." This is knowledge. In this is sama. It is the same in all statements of individual units of knowledge. All knowledge begins by saying idam, this. Bertrand Russell, in his Logical Positivism, makes an analysis of what he calls atomic sentences. In them, the nuclear aspect is this: a word is like a bomb. When I throw the grenade of a word to you, it bursts into your mind, with the result that a meaning is evoked. In Sanskrit, this bursting aspect of words is called sphotam. We are shooting at each other with the bullets of words. They come and hit us, and we react to them. So our world of conscious activity is caused by the bullets of words. If we sit in silence, it is fine. It is not the silence of a graveyard. It is an all-filling silence. We are not being with one specific form of endearment. We are in a natural state of eternal bliss. In the present verse, the Guru puts it that all the specifying aspects, that come are aspects of consciousness, nothing else. If the intellect which is causing these specifications can be removed, you get Sadgati, the right path, while Durgati is the path that leads you to trouble, to bondage. Sadgati is the path which brings you liberation. Vedantins also have two paths. One is called Pravritti, the involved, that which binds you to action, the action-oriented path, while the other is called Nivritti, the releasing way. The Guru's point is that if you seek liberation, you should ask the question, what is this? You don't ask, what is this, in the way that takes you to individual specifications and things. You are aiming at the this in the sense of what is the thisness. Ramana Maharishi always instructed people to ask the question, who am I? Between the this and the I, the whole range of the mental process happens. Most often a guru or teacher instructs a disciple, Tat Tvam Asi, that thou art. Thatness is identified as you. And what is that? That which includes everything. Everything that can be summarized in the indicativeness of the mind is that. This and that are not separate. The whole realm of indication taken together is that. That is none other than you. So you are instructed to meditate on that. Other instructions include I am Atma Brahma. This self is the Absolute. Where you are meditating on this and Aham Brahma Asmi, I am the Absolute, where you are meditating on I. Ramana Maharishi's instruction is to meditate on I when you say, I am the Absolute, in order to arrive at the transcendental notion of the Absolute. Narayana Guru gives here a form of meditation for arriving at the meaning of two of the great dictums of the Upanishads, that thou art and this self is the Absolute. He combines both into one and says, Idine bhajitchirenam, meditate on this. This will clear your mind of the triple functions of interrogation, relation, and judgment. These are separated, but they originate from the all-comprehensive thisness. In the previous verse, the word this is indicated as the yoke or the substance which makes everything. In the first verse, we were asked to kneel before that knowledge, which is everything, cultivate devotion for it, consecrate ourselves to it, make obeisance to it, and prostrate ourselves again and again. If a person is contemplative, he should have a detached mind, so that he knows that even when he is relating to many things, they are all born of one consciousness, called this. Then we will not be caught in the magic that we ourselves create. We are strange kinds of magicians that create a magic which we then get caught in the snare of. We need to be so clever that we create only to amuse ourselves and do not get caught. Once I painted a demon on one of the walls of a house where I was living. At night I became so afraid of it, I couldn't go down the hall where it was. I had done it with chalk, so I took a cup of water with me, and when I passed by, I threw the water on it. Then I couldn't see the chalk while it was wet, so I could go past. The next day I was not afraid, but again the next night I did the same thing. Like that, we are always creating demons out of our own minds and getting afraid of them. Narayana Guru says, do not get caught in this delusion. And the free translation of verse 42 is, when one says this is knowledge, what comes first as this is the unifying sameness. Its distinguishing attribute is awareness. For all mentations like discursive cogitation to cease and to gain the path of liberation, one should contemplate on this which inheres in the universal identity.